and gentlemen, this is a story that came out in Epoch's Time. I will leave the link to this story in the description box. China's illicit opioid, a form of undeclared war. And this is what I've been talking about all along. I'm just trying to show you how other media outlets are putting out this same story. Now, I said this over a year ago. Okay, and I did videos on it a year ago. And, it's amazing how everybody is now opening up their eyes and realizing the damage that China really is doing to this country when it comes down to drugs. But let's get into this article dated August 19th, 2018. The illicit opioids being manufactured in China and shipped to the United States are almost a form of warfare. It's not almost warfare. It is, ladies and gentlemen. China knows what they're doing. Don't think for one moment that they don't realize what they are doing to the people in this country by shipping the drugs. China has been playing chemical warfare with the drugs for centuries. This is how, if you go back and look at a lot of their warfare, this is how they defeated their enemies. They would send the drugs in first. And when everybody was all messed up on drugs, they then came in with a military attack, because by then they had weakened their enemies and they knew they could defeat them at that point. And they always did. When they would push the drugs in first, they would always defeat their enemy. In China, you have some pretty big companies sending that garbage and killing our people, Trump said. More than 71,500 Americans died of a drug overdose in 2017, according to provisional data released August 15th by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. At least 68% of those deaths can be attributed to opioids. Trump asked Attorney General Jeff Sessions to take a look at the fentanyl that's coming out of China and Mexico and do whatever you can to legally to stop it. Most illicit synthetic opioids are manufactured in China and increasingly in Mexico. Mexico actually get theirs out of China, but they just push it across the U.S.-Mexican border and enter the United States via Mexico or the postal system. Fentanyl, the most common synthetic opioid, was originally developed as a painkiller. And that's true. A lot of times back in the day, it was given to people that were in excruciating pain, like cancer patients. Okay, 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal dose for a non-opioid user. It is often mixed with heroin or pressed into fake painkiller pills made to look like real prescription drugs, making them more deadly. Carfentanil is less common, but much more lethal. It is used as an elephant tranquilizer, and it is 10,000 times more powerful than morphine. Okay, we do know that. Between 2013 and 2014, there was a 79% increase in deaths related to synthetic opioids, according to the 2016 DEA heroin report. Since then, the trend has continued to climb. Trevor Loudon, an expert on communism and Epoch Time columnist, said it's an absolute fact that the fentanyl is coming from China. And you can't tell me that in a police state like China, where they know everybody and what everybody is doing, you can't tell me that China is not aware of it. Yeah, they know. Trust me, China knows. China don't care about what they're doing to the American people. I can tell you that. They do not care. I have seen so much articles and research, and China's attitude is way too nonchalant. They are way too willing to push the blame back on the American people. And I've seen that in articles too, from different officials from China. You know, like, don't point the finger at us, point the finger back at yourselves, you know, that kind of stuff. You can't tell me the Chinese government is not controlling it and funding it, he said in a May 10th interview. So that is a form of undeclared war against the Western countries. The book Red Cocaine by Joseph Douglas Jr. shows how the Chinese regime began pushing the heroin and opium trade back in the 1950s, Loudon said. They were behind much of the heroin and the world drug trade, and they were cooperating with the cartels in Latin America, he said. If you want to target Western countries and destroy them, you soften them up and get enough money for your revolution. You would be crazy not to be involved in the drug trade. And if you haven't seen China by now, China is going all over the world, making all kinds of trade deals. They're going into all kinds of different locations and setting up all kinds of companies and factories and everything. They are going everywhere all over the globe right now. They're even down in South America. Last I did an article on them setting up trade deals with Peru. So they are literally everywhere, and they are everywhere on this earth doing all these deals for a reason, because China intends on becoming the next superpower. How do you do it? This is how you do it. You go around the globe and you make all kinds of trade deals and loans and everything else with other nations. And that is exactly what they're doing. They're not in Africa and all in the Caribbean and all of South America and all over the place for no reason. They're there for a reason. These people are poising themselves for a world takeover. That's what they're doing. Last year, the Department of Justice announced its first indictments against 2 Chinese manufacturers of fentanyl and other opiate substance. They have been using the internet to sell fentanyl and fentanyl analogs to drug traffickers and individual customers in the United States, said Deputy General Attorney Rodstein in a statement on October 17, 2017. Over at least 6 years, suspect Zhao Bing Yang is alleged to have operated websites advertising and selling. Because, you know, I've actually read about him before, and he has several websites set up on the dark web that sells all these different types of fentanyl. And, you know, a lot of it is U.S. customers. Like, they spent $800 million on buying drugs on the dark web in 2017 alone. $800 million. Analog directly to U.S. customers in multiple cities across the country, according to the DOJ. The case was brought to federal court in Mississippi. Yang operated at least 2 chemical plants in China that were capable of producing quantities of fentanyl and fentanyl analog, Rosenstein said. Yan monitored legislation and law enforcement activity in the United States and China. And you can best believe a lot of these Chinese people living here, they're doing a lot of this monitoring too. Modifying the chemical structure of the fentanyl analog he produced to evade prosecution in America. And there are 2 drug cartels in China that the United States want extradited here, but China never extradite their people to the United States. They always refuse. In a case brought in federal court in North Dakota, investigators traced imported drugs back to Yan Zhang in China, who is alleged to have manufactured fentanyl in at least 4 labs in China and sold it to customers in the United States using the dark web and the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Zhang's organization would send orders of fentanyl and other illicit drugs and pressed pill presses, stamps, and dyes used to shape fentanyl into pills to customers in the United States through the mail or international parcel delivery services, Rosenstein said. Zhang sent many thousands of these packages since January 2013. The postal system. The United States postal system handles more than 275 million inbound international packages in 2016, according to an investigative report conducted by the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations and published in January. That volume is 3 times larger than the combined volume, approximately 65.7 million, handled by the 3 largest express services, which is FedEx, UPS, and DHL. Over a 3-month period, the subcommittee communicated with 6 online sellers posing as first-time fentanyl purchaser. All of the online sellers actively sought to induce a purchase of fentanyl or other illicit opioids, the report said. They all referred to shipping any purchases to the United States through the international arm of the Postal Service. According to a July 2016 DEA report, customers can purchase fentanyl products from China laboratories online, and powdered fentanyls and pill presses are shipped via mail services. Traffickers can typically purchase a kilo of fentanyl powder for a few $1,000s from a Chinese supplier, transform it into hundreds of thousands of pills, and sell the counterfeit pills for millions of dollars in profit, said the report. That's what the report said from the Senate. The subcommittee found that the online sellers preferred to be paid through cryptocurrency, such as Bitcoins, which offers more, it just makes them anonymous. That's why they do it. You know, a lot of people prefer to use Bitcoins for purchases, even the ones that are not selling drugs, which, it gives them, it just makes them anonymous. But accept other payment options such as Western Union, PayPal, credit cards, and prepaid gift cards. The subcommittee didn't finalize the actual order during its investigation. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is responsible for identifying suspicious packages through the international mail stream, primarily at mail centers located at 5 major airports in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Miami. For many years, CBP didn't list China as a country of interest due to high volume packages China shipped to the United States. This meant packages from China were not sent from the USPS or CBP for inspection. So they said those packages were never checked. In November 2015, the Postal Service launched a pilot program that used more advanced electronic data to track packages and divert them to CBP upon request. CBP specifically targeted small packages under 4.4 pounds coming from China through JFK Airport in New York. To avoid heightened targeting by CBP of the packages from China, online sellers stated that they would divert packages to other countries first before the package ultimately arrived in the United States. Didn't I say that? It's almost like this person heard my video. I said the same thing in my video. Wow. Okay, in the United States, the report stated. And I did list that report, by the way. It's still out there. If you look in the last video I did on China talking about their secret weapon, there's a report and there's a link that you can read that comes out of a subcommittee. This practice is known as transshipping. So it goes to another country before it comes to the US. So it looks as if it didn't come out of China. It came out of a different country. That's exactly what it is. The online sellers assert transshipping through these countries, reducing the risk of a package containing illicit opioids from being identified and seized by customs officials. So as you can see, they're just bringing out a lot of the things that I talked about in that other video. So if you didn't see that one, make sure you go see China's secret weapon, because I have all of that information in there. So as you can plainly see, this problem is major with all of those packages coming in. And it just goes to show you that the US technically has no way of stopping these packages from coming in. China has made all of these claims that they're going to work side by side with the US. But as you can see, China is really not doing anything on their end. Not if you see this amount of packages coming into the country and being delivered all over the place with drugs. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Share the video, like the video, and as usual, ladies and gentlemen, peace.